When you act as if life is unfolding for you, not against you, you walk differently, you show up differently, you speak differently. People feel that energy because it's rooted in grounded hope, not blind optimism. It's the courage to face life's unknowns without losing yourself to fear. And here's the truth. Life rarely goes as planned, but the human spirit is resilient. Acting as if everything always works out invites you to live with an open heart, to see possibility where others see endings, and to find strength in your story, no matter how it unfolds. Trusting the process is one of the hardest things we will ever do because it requires surrendering control. Most of us have been raised to believe that if we work hard enough, plan carefully enough, or stay disciplined enough, then life should unfold the way we imagined. And yet, how many times have we done everything right, only to find ourselves in circumstances we never expected? It's in those moments when our plans are shattered or delayed that we're given the invitation to trust that there is a larger unfolding at play, a process we may not fully understand right now, but one that is shaping us in ways we will later be grateful for. When we talk about trusting the process, we're not talking about blind faith or passivity. It's not about sitting back and hoping life magically works out while we remain still. It's about showing up, doing the best we can with the tools we have, and then releasing the need to control every outcome. It's about recognizing that our worth isn't tied to whether everything goes according to plan. Instead, it's tied to the resilience and courage we carry when things don't. Think about the seasons of nature. A tree doesn't question why winter feels harsh or why its branches are bare. It doesn't doubt that spring will return. It simply allows the process to take its course because there is wisdom in every season. The same is true for us. There are seasons in our lives when we feel stripped down, when everything seems uncertain, and when we wonder if we'll ever feel whole again. Trusting the process means believing that even in these winters, growth is happening underneath the surface, that the roots are strengthening, preparing us for a season of bloom we can't yet see. Trusting the process also changes the way we experience failure. Instead of labeling it as a sign that we are unworthy or unlucky, we can choose to see it as feedback, as redirection. Maybe the job we didn't get was making space for an opportunity that aligns more deeply with who we are. Maybe the relationship that ended was creating room for us to discover love in a healthier, more expansive way. When we stop fighting against what is and instead ask ourselves, what might this moment be teaching me? We begin to see the process not as an enemy, but as a teacher. This kind of trust is not built overnight. It comes from looking back on our lives and recognizing the times when things felt unbearable, yet somehow we made it through. It comes from remembering the moments when we thought we had reached the end, only to discover it was the beginning of something new. Every scar, every detour, every disappointment has been part of the process that shaped who we are today. If we can honor that truth, then we can also trust that whatever lies ahead will, in time, reveal its purpose. At its core, trusting the process is about releasing fear and stepping into courage. It's choosing to say, I don't know how this will turn out, but I know I can handle it. I know that life has carried me this far and it will continue to carry me forward. It's a quiet confidence, not that life will always feel easy, but that life will always be worth showing up for. And when you live with that trust, you begin to experience freedom. The freedom to let go of perfection, the freedom to embrace uncertainty, and the freedom to walk through life with hope. Shifting from fear to possibility is one of the most powerful mindset changes we can make, yet it is also one of the most challenging. Fear is hardwired into us. It keeps us alert, cautious, and aware of danger. But when fear becomes the lens through which we see the world, it narrows our vision. We start to believe that every step forward might be a step into failure, every risk might be a disaster, and every unknown is something to dread. When fear takes the driver's seat, possibility doesn't stand a chance. And so to live as if everything always works out, we must practice loosening fear's grip and choosing a new question, one that expands rather than shrinks our view. What if this turns out better than I imagined? The single question can shift the energy of an entire moment. Fear asks, what if I fall? Possibility answers, but what if you fly? Fear says, what if they reject me? Possibility whispers, what if they welcome you? Fear demands certainty before we act, but possibility invites us to trust that the uncertainty itself might hold something beautiful. And the truth is, most of the turning points in our lives, the new opportunities, the meaningful relationships, the unexpected breakthroughs, came when we stepped into the unknown, not when we played it safe. When we live under the weight of fear, our decisions shrink to the size of our doubts. We play small, we hide, we settle. But when we shift to possibility, we create space for courage to breathe. We give ourselves permission to imagine outcomes beyond our limited expectations. That doesn't mean we ignore the risks or pretend challenges don't exist. It means we refuse to let fear dictate the boundaries of our lives. Instead, we acknowledge the fear, thank it for trying to protect us, and then gently set it aside so we can walk towards something bigger. Shifting to possibility also requires imagination, the willingness to see beyond what is in front of us. Fear is often fueled by memory and past pain. It reminds us of the times we stumbled and warns us never to try again. But possibility is rooted in vision. It's the ability to say, just because it didn't work out before doesn't mean it won't now. Just because I've been hurt doesn't mean I can't find healing. Just because I failed once doesn't mean success isn't waiting. Imagination breathes life into possibility, showing us that the future isn't predetermined by the past. Of course, choosing possibility doesn't erase fear. It transforms our relationship with it. The butterflies in our stomach before we step on stage, the racing heart before we start something new. These are not signs to retreat. They are signs that we are alive, that we are stepping into something meaningful. Fear will always be present, but it doesn't have to be the loudest voice in the room. By shifting toward possibility, we learn to move forward even with trembling hands and shaky voices, knowing that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to walk through it. What's remarkable is that possibility creates momentum. Once you allow yourself to believe that good outcomes are possible, you start to notice opportunities that fear would have blinded you to. You begin to attract people and circumstances that align with that openness. You become more willing to try again, to stretch yourself, to grow. And with each step you take in possibility, your confidence grows, not because everything is guaranteed to work out perfectly, but because you discover that you are capable of handling whatever comes. In the end, shifting from fear to possibility is a practice, not a one-time choice. It's a daily decision to ask better questions, to imagine brighter outcomes, and to trust that the unknown holds more than danger. It holds hope. It's about choosing to believe that life is not a series of traps waiting to catch us, but a series of doors waiting to be opened. And the more often we choose possibility, the more we realize that even when things don't unfold exactly as we hoped, they often bring us to places far more meaningful than we could have ever planned. Carrying hope into action is what transforms belief into reality. Hope by itself is powerful. It gives us a reason to keep going when life feels uncertain, but hope without action can become wishful thinking, a dream that never leaves the safety of our imagination. To act as if everything always works out for us, we must let hope fuel our steps forward. It's about pairing the vision in our hearts with the courage in our hands. So often people misunderstand hope. They think of it as something passive, as if hope means sitting back and waiting for life to magically fall into place. But real hope is active. It is a stubborn determination to see light even in the darkest season, and then to take steps toward that light, no matter how small. Hope whispers, "This is possible." Action replies, "Then let's move toward it." When these two meet, they create momentum that can carry us through even the most difficult challenges. Acting on hope doesn't require us to have the whole plan figured out. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is take the next small step, even if we can't see the whole road ahead. If you've ever driven at night, you know that your headlights don't illuminate the entire highway. They only show you the next few hundred feet. But if you keep moving forward, step by step, the road continues to reveal itself. The same is true for hope in action. We don't need all the answers before we begin. We just need the willingness to start trusting that clarity comes as we move. Carrying hope into action also means staying resilient when results don't arrive instantly. Too often we give up because progress feels slow or because the outcome doesn't match the timeline we had in mind. But when we act from hope, we recognize that every effort matters, even when we can't see the fruit yet. A seed planted underground doesn't sprout the next morning. It takes time, nourishment, and patience. In the same way, our actions are seeds. Some will bloom quickly, others will take years, but each one contributes to the life we are building. Hope allows us to keep tending the soil, even when the harvest isn't visible yet. Another truth about hope in action is that it requires vulnerability. Taking steps toward a dream means risking failure, risking disappointment, risking rejection. And yet, without that vulnerability, we remain stuck in the safety of what if. Hope gives us the courage to say, "I am willing to risk this," because the possibility of growth is worth it. When we carry hope into action, we stop waiting for certainty and start moving in faith. We stop asking, "What if I fail?" and instead ask, "What if this changes everything for the better?" And here's the beautiful part. When we embody this mindset, it impacts not just us, but the people around us. Hope in action is contagious. When others see us moving forward despite fear, despite uncertainty, despite setbacks, it gives them permission to believe they can do the same. Our courage becomes a spark for someone else's flame. We often underestimate the quiet power of modeling resilience, but sometimes the greatest gift we can give others is not advice or answers. It's the living example of a life moved by hope. In carrying hope into action, we also learn to detach from needing every outcome to look exactly as we imagined. because sometimes the door we thought was the goal turns out to be a hallway leading us to something greater. When we act on hope, we trust that even if things don't unfold as planned, they still unfold for our good. Action fueled by hope doesn't guarantee perfection, but it guarantees growth, and growth in the end is its own kind of success. So, to act as if everything always works out for us, we must marry hope with action. We must keep showing up, keep trying, keep planting seeds, even when the results feel uncertain, because every step rooted in hope becomes a declaration that we believe in possibility. And that belief, lived out through action, has the power to transform not just what we achieve, but who we become along the way. Resilience over perfection is a mindset that allows us to live with more freedom, authenticity, and strength. Perfection whispers that we have to get everything right, that mistakes are unacceptable, that we must always appear put together. Resilience, on the other hand, reminds us that mistakes are not the end of the story, they're part of the process. It tells us that we don't have to have a flawless path in order to create a meaningful life. Choosing resilience over perfection means shifting from the impossible pressure of trying to never fall to the courageous practice of always rising when we do. Perfection is exhausting. It keeps us trapped in cycles of comparison, measuring ourselves against unrealistic standards set by society, by others, or by our own inner critic. It convinces us that our value is tied to how well we perform, how flawless we appear, or how often we succeed. But the truth is, perfection is an illusion. No one is perfect, and chasing it only distances us from joy, connection, and peace. Resilience, however, allows us to embrace our imperfections as part of our humanity. It gives us permission to stumble and still move forward. It reminds us that strength is not in never breaking, but in finding the courage to heal and rebuild. When we choose resilience, we allow ourselves to be shaped by challenges instead of defined by them. Life will bring setbacks, failed plans, broken relationships, unexpected loss, moments when everything seems to fall apart. Perfection demands that we avoid these experiences, but resilience teaches us how to grow through them. Resilience doesn't deny the pain, it honors it. It says, yes, this hurts, yes, this is hard, and yes, I will continue. That spirit of continuation is what allows us to not only survive hardship, but to emerge stronger and wiser. Living with resilience over perfection also changes the way we see success. Instead of measuring our worth by flawless outcomes, we begin to value effort, persistence, and adaptability. A resilient person doesn't say, I failed, so I must not be good enough. They say, I failed, so what can I learn? How can I try again differently? This shift creates a life that is less about performance and more about progress. It frees us from the pressure of getting everything right on the first try and invites us into the courage of trying again. Resilience also fosters deeper connection with others. Perfection isolates us because it makes us hide our struggles in order to maintain an image of control. But when we allow ourselves to be seen in our imperfections, we invite authenticity into our relationships. People are drawn not to our polished masks, but to our real, unedited selves. When we share our struggles and still show that we are choosing to rise, we create space for others to do the same. That kind of honesty builds trust, empathy, and true belonging. Another gift of resilience is that it allows us to adapt to change. Perfection crumbles when life doesn't go according to plan, but resilience bends, stretches, and finds new paths. Life will never unfold in a straight line. Unexpected detours and challenges are part of every journey. Resilience equips us with the flexibility to adjust, to keep moving forward, even when the road looks different than we imagined. This adaptability is what allows us to continue growing, even when circumstances are uncertain.